I fly too close to sun for the girls that I love. It's never enough. I do too much, I get too involved in their lives. I'm bossing them up. I play my part too well, it's exhausting as fuck. I can't be a crutch, I just want hand to protect like the point of a glove. Am I asking too much? Or maybe I'm broken down, too much to fix up. Maybe I'm way too brown, too much elixir. Maybe I need too much your time and affection. Maybe I see right into you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I see a lot of familiar faces and some new ones, so welcome to the new faces and welcome back to everybody else that we do know. Welcome, gentlemen. So ladies and gentlemen, this is our fourth iteration of our masterclass called the Indie Masterclass, where we focus primarily on all of the information that independents never find online or even in conversation from whatever reasons that we've all found in our industries. First and foremost, this is the first time I hosted, so please be kind to me. I'm kind of shy. My name is Skizzy Zah as an artist, but my government name is Mtutusi Shatrayo. I attended here at NSA, so I'm a fellow artist like you guys, from theory all the way through to the actual hardships of being an artist. Today we have a wonderful guest of ours. He's a legal mind, and he's going to be helping us go through our legal questions with regards to the entire industry. This is KT Malachi, a wonderful man. So I was saying, the way in which we normally hold these classes is by first having an interview with our gentleman here, where we speak through as many questions as we have pre-thought of. And then the second half is where we interact with the audience and you guys get to ask questions. So while we're going through, make notes of anything that pops up or anything that we didn't cover, and then we'll give you your opportunity to ask your questions. Yeah? Cool. So, big man, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you, man?
I'm great, thanks, I'm great. Please just give us a little introduction as to who you are and why you got invested in what it is you do now.
Okay, yeah, my name is Katler Malachi. I'm from Pretoria. I kind of got, I don't know, I fell into entertainment law, so I was always going to be a lawyer. I was always going to be an advocate, family of legal minds, and I went to university to study law. I studied law at the University of Pretoria. And somewhere at the beginning of my varsity career, I started an event called the Homecoming Picnic. So with this event grew into like a whole company and whatnot next, through many events, and through that I began interacting with a lot of artists. So when I was serving my articles, I completed my LLB. I served my articles with Adams and Adams. And while I was serving my articles, we were interacting a lot with artists who'd have like legal problems. So, I'd be dealing with somebody on a booking and he'd be like, yo, dude, this is what's up, And I started helping Kuli quite a bit with, legal questions. And at some point he said to me, look, dude, why don't you step into this field? There's so many people who actually don't have, representation. And so I figured it was a match made in heaven. I kept the events company, the entertainment company. I went into entertainment law. So I've been doing entertainment law since 2015. I've got my consultancy called Tailor-Made Legal Solutions. And yeah, I've done quite a number of very interesting, exciting cases in the music, entertainment space in South Africa, and represent quite a few significant sort of clients. So yeah, it's been fun. Law and entertainment's been fun, yeah.
Okay, and just for interest's sake, before we get into the real questions, what is your hardest case? You don't have to give us any real names or anything, but what was your most trying case?
It would have to be Aries versus Ambitious.
I said no names, but okay.
Oh, okay. I'm clear to talk about certain cases because so it was a benchmark for us because we'd really just started off with this thing, and we were going against one of the top law firms in South Africa, and it was new work to me in practice, in application. So in theory, it was like, yeah, we know the theory, but putting it practically and getting, you know, this guy out of this major contract with these major guys was probably the most exciting case we did back then. Yeah.
Okay, that question was just to give everyone credibility.
Okay.
Yeah, so now they can trust you. They can trust you. So the first question that I have is, why is it important for a musician or an artist, or actually anyone in entertainment, to have legal representation? What is the fundamental importance of that relationship?
So, you know, I always say to guys, you know, it's when you're an artist or an entertainer, you're a business in and of yourself. And every business has people that are responsible for taking care of certain interests. So in my office, there is an office manager who's responsible for managing the office. There's a finance person who's responsible for the finances, because when you don't have people taking care of that, it does a couple of things. Number one, it distracts you from your core focus, which is to do whatever your art may be. Number two, when you don't have a competency in something, you don't have a passion for it, you don't do justice to it. So that's why you find a lot of guys, I mean, somebody tell you, oh, I manage myself, or I do my own contracts, you know, seen one, seen them all. And you get into some very bad deals because you just don't know enough. And that's why people go to school to master certain things. That's why I can never come up here and ask you to throw words at me. I mean, I could, and I could body them joking, but
We'll find out. We have time, right?
but the whole thing is, you need people who know what they're doing to protect certain interests. And in terms of the legal aspect, it's very important, because that's the most important aspect of protecting yourself and your money as an entertainer. So when your legal is not protected, your talent could essentially go to waste.
Of course. Now, back to the questions. What is copyright law?
So, copyright law, or copyright, let's talk about a copyright. Copyright protects original works, like the authorship of original works. So I always try to break it down into as simple terms as possible. But like, if you author something, so if you create something, your authorship has to create what, if it's original, that creates a copyright for you. That's a right that protects that work. So if you write a song, if you create a beat, if you take a photo, that is an original work, you've authored it, you've created it, and copyright protects that right and all the entitlements in it that you have.
And then what are the implications of infringing a copyright? Or more importantly, how does one infringe on a copyright? Let's start there.
So when you have a copyright, it entitles you to a couple of things. So you control how the song is adapted, how it's performed, how it's reproduced. You know, who can perform it, can you sing it, can you reproduce it, can you re-record it? You control all those elements, and anybody who infringes that copyright or infringes that, or, you know, reproduces your song without permission, is then liable to you for damages, and the damages can be calculated in various ways, but there would be a financial implication. And it depends, because, I mean, so I guess we can talk about fair use to a certain extent. So if you...
We'll get to that one.
Yeah, okay. So if it's not fair use and you do generate commercial income from it, then I would be liable to sue you for that very commercial income, because that would actually be due
to you, because it's your work. So it's only when there's a remuneration for me being on stage or doing whatever it is I'm doing with your intellectual property that you get remunerated.
Well, if you derive an economic impact, that's where not impact but rather economic benefit.
Yeah.
So if you make money off of it, that's obviously where I can claim damages, because I can then prove and say, well, you know, this guy
that should have been my money.
50,000 rand to sing my song. Okay. You know, and you collect on that. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. And then you spoke about fair usage earlier on. This is now the fair usage section of the chat. What constitutes, rather, what is fair usage?
So Basically, that's why I protect the copyright. I protect my copyright so that I can exploit it, so that I can
Make money.
make money off of it. Now, fair use is when you use, adapt, perform, do something with the works of somebody else without permission, without clearance, and but fair use relates more to the fact that it's fair. And I mean, I'm trying to take it into layman's term, like it's fair. Like, no, dog, I should be able to use it in this particular fashion because, so South Africa looks at it on a case-to-case basis, so it'll be things because I'm not actually deriving any profit from it, or it's for educational purposes. There's about 4 considerations mainly that the court would always look at on a case-by-case basis to determine fair usage, but a lot of it centers around the money. Are you making money from it? Is it what are you using? How are you using it?
And then now, why? How can I put it? So I've been inveigled in like macabre conspiracies to keep me in like some very shady contracts for a while, and I think the first question I have is why are these contracts not written in English? Because on the real, like you have like Latin terms, and I can understand Latin terms, and like if I was going to court and I was fighting against another lawyer, because that's what you guys do, you go to school for that. So, but like why do you not write contracts in layman's terms between an artist and whoever they're signing with? Is this a good faith situation, or is it a trying to rip you off situation? What, in your experience, do you think has been the reason why contracts aren't written in layman English?
So I think for me it's been quite interesting because I came into entertainment law as a passion project. I came in here for the love of it. I want to improve the lives of people and change them. And so coming into it, and it was never sort of my core bread and butter business. So my outlook was always different. And you come in and you realize why people draft the way they draft, because you meet some very bad people. You meet some very bad people, some very bad intentions. And I look at all these contracts. I was actually at one of the recording houses the other day, and I said to the guy, I must be honest with you, your contract is absolute rubbish. It's nonsense. It's terrible. These are like contracts that have like 3 pages of duties of the artist and nothing on duties of the record label. Yeah. But it's drafted that way because there's an interest being protected. And that's why we're going out and saying to people, if you are not protecting your own interest, if you say, I trust the next guy or whatever, you're going to be in trouble. So people draft that way because everybody's running an agenda. It's not a good faith industry. Yeah. It's really not a good faith industry. Somebody's trying to make money and somebody's trying to make money off of somebody else. So people need to be very alert and aware of that stuff. I mean, I'm a big fan of the plain legal language movement. I try to keep my contracts as short as possible, as clear, succinct as possible. I'll get artists come to me and give me like a 40-page publishing agreement, and I'm like, this publishing agreement should be like 6 pages, so let's send them back our own copy, let them sign that. But they do that on purpose because you need to be frazzled if you're looking at it on your own and just take whoever's word for it.
And on that note, what are the things that artists should generally look out for in their contracts? Because you have like various different contracts with various different people. You have your distribution, your publishing, you have your artist management, you have your record label contract, you have your recording deal. What are, if there's any baseline red flags between the various contracts that you could like off of the top of your head just point out?
So I always say to people, there is no good deal and there's no bad deal. And there's a reason why I say this, because it's all based on where you are in your career, as far as I'm concerned. Okay. So I'll use, there's a guy from back home, 25K. I don't know if you've heard of y'all heard about 25K. So 25K is from back home, and we'd been, working with him on shows and, just trying to get him out there. And he brought me the Culture Vulture video. I dropped it on YouTube and I said, 25, this is wonderful, but where we going? Where are you? We here. You've created all this buzz here at home, but where we going with this? We need to take this stuff and take it to a national platform. Now, what happens with the artists like that in that situation is what I'm saying to him, I need to get you any deal. I need to get you something that's going to put you out. So I need to get you a deal that 5 years from now, I might say to you, dog, would never sign this. But for now, I need to get you something that's going to... So everybody needs to understand where they are in their career type situation. I mean, we almost signed this bad deal, and lucky for him, somebody else picks him up and offers him a better deal. But it's one of those, if that better deal hadn't come through, we need to move. So I can tell you now, this is not the greatest contract, but what we'll do is we'll start limiting certain things. So I'll say to artists always, take your bookings out of the contract, because you need somebody to push your music. The moment you start signing with people, I need you as label or whoever you are to push the music. Get the music out there, get it distributed, get it into syncs if you can, whatever you can. But where am I going to make my primary money? I'm going to make it from performances. So let's get the bookings out of there, because I actually don't need your help that. I mean, if the music's booming anyway, I'll do it myself. Then you start looking at things like duration. How do we limit the duration of a contract? How do we look at a contract and say, how can I keep it as short as possible so that I can maximize? And it's not to say I'm keeping it as short as possible because I want to leave the label. It's like this weird novelty obsession with not signing and whatever. It's just like, no, let me sign a short one so that when I've got the hits, I can renegotiate for a better deal. Exactly. Type situation. So it's a matter of understanding, and this is why everybody has to be a student of the industry. Because that's when you begin to know what to take out and what to put into contracts. Always ensure whoever you're signing with, for example, has duties of their own.
My question is, how should my contract look like when I'm about to get a big placement from an artist as a producer? How should my contract look like?
Number one, do not let them touch your royalties. That's what in that Rick Ross's last request to Birdman, may all producers please get paid. It's what they do to producers. They're gonna give you a big stack and they're like, okay, cool, we're gonna give you 50,000 and 80,000, 100,000, but then they're gonna take your... So I don't know if you guys know how a song's broken up, and maybe it's always just good to run that. So if you record a song, by default, this is how the ownership or the rights of a song goes. So the song is 100%, and whoever pays for that song, whoever pays for the studio time and the make of that song, I mean, back in the day, it was who pays for it to be made a cassette or a CD, whatever the case may be. Whoever pays for the production of the song is the master right owner. So 50% of that song belongs to the master right. 50% that copyright care, the master right holder. The other 50% is split into another 50-50. So we're now talking what, 25-25, which goes to the composer and the author. So your composer is ordinarily the producer. So that's your entitlement. And you have to always be very careful of that, like looking out for that. But that's my royalty, copyright entitlement. That's me. The other 50% or 25 would be authorship, which is usually the writers who writes on the song, who sings on the song. Sometimes they'll buy out the writers as buy out the singers, whoever, session vocalists, and people negotiate these things. Guys do it very weird in South Africa. Super weird. So they go into studio, nobody signs a deed of assignment. I always say to guys on the come up, young up and coming artists, get a deed of assignment. And I'm happy to like share with the indie Masterclass. Sure. Just a basic template of a deed of assignment, because what a deed of assignment does is every time we record, we must write down what we've agreed, who owns what on the song. It's very basic contract to have with you. The bigger guys will tell you, I was fighting with AK about it the other day. So no, it's just not practical in studio, we're just having fun. And then that's how you guys end up in court. Because everyone's, it's not practical. But the producers are always the guys that get schniced in those drinking sessions over there. Because, 100%. So your contract, also depending on who you are, who you're doing the beat for. If the guy saying, yo dog, I need that credit, you need to find a way to leverage and bargain with him to say, okay, but how do we get my name out there? How do we get my credit out there? Do I forfeit the fee and just keep the royalty? What do we do? And it's understanding where you are in your career, what you're trying to do with your career. But off of stock standard, make sure they don't change your royalty. And then make sure your fees in there, and just also make sure I said, guys, also just be aware of where you are doing your work. Just be very aware of it. There's guys who just own rights because everybody like coming to my house. I just will wake up one day, I'm like, I own the master to all of these songs.
And that's a probable thing?
Yeah.
Because you recorded it at my house.
You record at my house. That's my equipment, that's my stuff, so that's my master. But if you don't sign it, it goes to the default. And that's the default position. So you got to be very aware, very careful of where. I'll tell you one more funny story. So it has to do with the sync deal as well. One of my first cases, I know nothing about a sync deal. I have no idea what a sync deal is. I'm just shocked. This guy brings me this thing, and it's a huge song, and it's a sync deal. I think it was on Super Sport at the time. And I get a letter from Sheer Publishing, and they said to me, yo dude, we need our money. I'm like, what money? Because there's this remix. So there wasn't a remix. There was just like 3, 4, 5 artists on the song. I don't know that, man. I'm fresh out, man. I'm just like, yo dog, we signed the sync. Like, we're good to go. And she says, no, we need our money. And now I have to start researching, and I'm researching. I'm like, okay, shucks. We actually owe them money. So we get into this meeting, we're like, okay, this is the default position. This is how it should happen. But now the arguments start coming out because it's egos and whatever. It's like, no, but I'm bigger or this or that. And so the guy said, no, we're going to do this by bar. Bar by bar by bar. And there's this guy sitting in the corner. It's like a friend to one of the guys there. And he realizes what's happening. So guys are counting their bars. And he says, so it's like this hook, like just so random. He says, Entona, sakhumbula yimi ngaphuma ngalelo line lelo. Yimi na yimi. And just like that, he was 3% in the song. Just because nobody's, he said, I was in the song, and he got his 3% out of the whole deal. Because guys aren't signing, these deeds of assignment. But yeah, so I mean, it's always good to do deeds. Good to do deeds of assignment.
Hey guys, invite me to any of your recording sessions, yeah?
My question is very simple and straight to the point. I host like a podcast, right? And it's called Would You Like Some Tea? Would that name be legible or for it to be published, or do I need to trademark it or something?
Trademark.
Trademark, yeah. So I can't use the name.
Well, if the trademark doesn't exist.
Alright, thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
But yeah, you can trademark it, or you can apply to have it trademarked.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let me say I have this big plan, right? I have this big project I'm working on, and fine. I look for independent producers, like right now here in the studios, and well, get that contract, I give them their 20% and everything. But now, that producer, maybe he surely believes in my plan, and he needs to get the work done like quickly. So he samples the songs and what, and he gives me the project. And I'm too busy to actually go and find out if this thing is sampled or what. And then at the end, now my project is blowing. Of course, he's going to get that 20%. But now someone comes and say, hey, something here, it's mine. Now I need to go to the producer there. But the producer is independent. He doesn't have that money. So that maybe we're being sued by the big guys. And maybe our contract does include saying, hey, if anything comes back here and say you've sampled this and this, you are going to handle it, right? The producer doesn't have money to really handle it. So is there any way I can, like, it's going to affect my project? Is there any way I can save my project from that, should I say?
There's many ways. It's a very technical question, very technical answers, and it's always going to be a scenario-based consideration, and it's in how you structure your contracts. It's on what duties and responsibilities, what warranties you demand from the producer. So the producer gives you a warranty on the originality of his work and his legal entitlement to release all that work. It's immaterial to you whether he can afford to pay it back or not. So that warranty indemnifies you, and that legal claim then moves down to him. That's why guys put up warranties. I, the producer, warrant that I have every right. That's why people need to sign deals with these guys. I warrant that this is original work and I have the right to release it. Then that warranty, you take it to say, very good, the big boys are looking for you. Go talk to them.
Thank you so much. So that's my handle is at K Malachi.
I'm in fucking Havana, that's Cuba. What are you, bruh? You a rapper? I'm a snapper. I snap on every beat. Aries. Tell my nigga to put the beat on like a Aries. Is that his star sign? Aries. Oh, fuck it. I'ma keep the bars aligned to the sign that I've been spitting with every day.
You better learn something. You and I can just chill.